Here's how you can make the most of your time during your training sessions to decrease hip impingement pain and any pain that may come from labral tears. Dr. Nicholas Mercer with You Improve PT. So if you're aware that you have hip impingement or FAI or labral tears, you're probably a very active person, whether that means there's an activity that you love to do, you like to, train on the weekends, bike, run, what we call weekend warriors, but you are having this pain and you're not really able to find time to commit to these mobility and corrective exercises. You may barely have time to get in your favorite activity. So if you do train throughout your week or even on the weekends, whenever you have those training sessions, we need to use the rest time in between those training, the bouts of training, in order to help our hips recover, get the mobility back, and do some corrective exercises so we can keep that hip impingement pain and that hip pinching and any pain that may come from labral tears up in the hips at bay. So here's a few ways that you can start incorporating these mobility exercises into your training. So first, if you ever are doing exercises at a bench, especially arm exercises, bicep curls, pressing, anything like that, where you're sitting up or even laying down, we can use that position to help stretch muscles like the piriformis and the deep external rotators of the hip. So all you do is once you finish your set, your arms may be a little tired, your shoulders may be a little tired, but your legs should still be pretty good. So what we're going to do is take some time during that rest period, let those arms recover, and perform some of the stretches that you may find on this YouTube channel, on any other channels that help out with hip impingement. So for instance, here I'm going to be doing a Piriformis Stretch because I know my left side especially tends to get really, really restricted. So I'm just going to stretch that left side in between my, my pressing exercises. Another time this would be really helpful with a bench is to get a posterior hip capsule mob. And so when you're done training on that bench, set those weights down, let those arms recover, and then you just put all that pressure through one knee like I'm showing you here, trying to get that femur back into the joint to try to stretch out that posterior hip capsule and allow posterior translation, a little more posterior translation during hip flexion and internal rotation. So another corrective exercise and stretch that you can do in between bouts of a lower extremity exercise, let's say squats or lunges, is easily a hip flexor stretch, right? And all you need for this is maybe something soft to put under your knee, but all you're going to do is kneel down and then stretch that hip forward, making sure you're getting a nice glute contraction through the hip of the leg that is on the ground, where the knee's on the ground. So the hip of the rear leg, that glute we want contracting, and we want to push that hip forward in order to get a really good hip flexor stretch in between these lower extremity exercises. This shouldn't fatigue you too much, but it should allow you to stretch that hip flexor muscle. And a lot of times people say don't stretch before or during your training because it's going to make you weaker and it's going to decrease your strength. However, since we're putting this between exercises like lunges and squats, where the hip flexors aren't really a main component in performing that activity as far as strong contraction, we don't really need a really strong contraction from the hip flexor muscles during these exercises. This is a really good one to help you not only manage that hip impingement, FAI, labral tear pain, but also to improve the way you are doing these exercises, especially for lunges, because if we have those restricted hip flexors during the lunges, we're going to restrict that range of motion. We're not going to be able to go as low. So those are just a few ways that you can start incorporating corrective exercises to help manage hip impingement, hip pinching, labral tears, all that hip pain when you are doing your training, but also in your everyday life, so that you can save time. You don't have to spend extra time just focusing on these hip exercises. Now, the real question is, what hip exercises are you supposed to be doing? What correctives, what stretching, mobility exercises should you be doing? And that's difficult because everyone's a little different. And that's why I created the Hip Impingement Solution, which starts out with 15 self-guided tests to find your deficits and then guides you to the exercises and techniques that are most likely to help you in your hips. Now, if you would like to take a look at this program and get it for yourself and start getting back to your active life without hip pain from hip impingement, FAI labral tears, please go to the hipimpigementsolution.com. From there, you'll be able to get access to that program and start getting your hips better. If you're not quite ready for that, that's no problem. You can go to youimprovept.com and get in contact with us. Let us know how hip impingement, hip pain has been affecting your life, and for more free information on ending hip pain. What you can also do is check out the rest of our YouTube channel. There's a hip impingement playlist, which I will link to in a card above. Take a look at those exercises. Some of those may help you. None of them are a magic bullet. There are no magic bullets, but you may get some relief from some of those exercises. So check those out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so that more people can see these videos, because something about YouTube algorithm that I don't understand, but you know, that's how the world works now. So please go use those resources. They're all out there for you, and get ready to improve your pain, improve your movement, and improve your life.